Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington Show.
Welcome one and all. It's time for the Andy and Rem Show, episode 122. And as I move this thumbnail that currently obscures your view, bum bum bum, you will see that I'm joined as usual by Mr. Remington, who's looking, some would say, a little more horizontal than usual, bordering on Remington's Pillow Talk, the long-lost video segment.
I don't have a chair, I don't have a bed, I don't have a desk, so I'm lying on the floor in my new office de la Rem.
Yeah, so we're just going to have to tolerate the slightly inferior computer power, which is currently pixelating your video a bit, and maybe inferior internet speed. In fact, at the moment, you're looking like... What is that? Like the top half of your face has just been cut off and it's sliding across the other half of it.
Is that any better?
No. I don't think the people mind, though. I think they can tolerate that for now. In fact, Raphael is a big fan of random green pixels. Oh, there, it's back. And we can see some Remington flesh. There we go.
There's a moth in the room.
Just on top of everything else now, there's a moth. You can't make this stuff up, can you?
I got it with my sock.
Good job. Well then, on that note, everybody, we've got quite a packed house in the audience. People were trembling with anticipation of tonight's show. And not having a chair, that doesn't seem to be agreeing with you very much there.
It's quite uncomfortable, you know.
Do you want to tell the audience why you don't have a chair?
Because I've just moved house, and now I've been decorating it. I've painted that. Do you like it?
That's very snazzy, actually. In fact,
I've got a new carpet as well.
This is a wildly popular intro because, in fact, Annie has just said this is the content I've been staying up for. Yeah, so a few minutes ago, she was asking for a Remington Lullaby because she was going to go to sleep, but I think this will actually encourage her to stay up a bit longer now.
I did 35 press-ups this morning. Let me just see if I can get a few more in.
In a row?
3, 4, Remington.
4.
5.
Okay, we've seen video evidence of 5 Remington press-ups in a row.
Okay. Is that a good intro?
It'll do. I hope you've got your singing voice ready, though, later on. Because I still haven't received any high-quality studio versions of certain themes.
Well, I have been rather preoccupied lately.
It sounds like it. Although we are getting demands for a lullaby now. So if you'd like to sing a lullaby to anyone who is planning on falling asleep.
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show. How about that?
I think that'll do. By the way, for the record, I think next week I'm going to have to do 6 press-ups now to show that I'm, in fact, more of a powerful, manly man. I've already got.
I'd love to see that.
I've got the facial hair down. Now I just need to defeat your live streaming press-up record.
I think we'd love to see that. The audience demand it. I'm trying to. I've got the live chat up. A lot of heavy breathing in this stream. I think Rem has mixed it up with his other streams.
I don't think we need to say too much about that. You need a drink now. Well, speaking of things that have you needing a drink, how about those GW stock prices?
Oh, God. Well, they go up or they go down. And since we've been talking about it, they've pretty much just gone up until this week. They've gone down by 5%. Doesn't sound like a lot, does it? But that's gone down by £70 for me. So maybe I should have sold them last week. I don't know, but I'm in it for the long haul, and I said I would hold them for 1 year, and I'm still 42% up. So it's not bad.
Are you gonna stick to that then, holding them for precisely 1 year?
Oh, actually, they've gone down by 10% because I was 53% up at one point.
You sure they haven't just gone down another 5% based on your announcement?
Maybe, but yeah, you gotta, this is you don't find out how much your house costs and then keep checking on the price every day. And if the price goes down one day, you saying, right, I'm going to sell it then? No, because you're like, I live here anyway.
So you live in like that. You live in GW stock, and
I own it. You see, I own the stock, so therefore I own part of the company. That's how I look at it.
Mickey thinks it could be down to the postponement of RemCon.
Oh, possibly, yes, because it could be an event of that magnitude, which could have set the stock price in a downward spiral there.
We can actually see some Remington feet. Hiding again. Oh, there it is. There you go, for anyone out there who likes a bit of Remington foot action. Now is the time to start donating to the channel.
It's just Andy to cash in on me humiliating myself.
Essentially. So,
should we talk about some Warhammer then?
I suppose we could. We've got a few things to talk about, actually. So, as you can see on the screen, we've got Dogs of War at the moment. That's going to be the juiciest topic of tonight. But we have got a couple of other things first. For anyone who's been following the news headlines on the scrolly text, the extra fancy scrolly text, then you will have seen that there's some other juicy stuff. For example, here, a new couple of Beastgrave warbands. Now, I'm not sure if we've actually looked at these before, but they're available for pre-order now. So there's some orcs, obviously. Pretty standard. I'm not a big fan of the GW current crop of yellow fantasy orcs.
No, they're boring. They just look like the old ones.
They sure do. However, this is a bit more your cup of tea, isn't it?
Oh yeah, come on, man. Now these are brilliant. I'm getting these. I'm definitely getting these, but I think some of you guys might join me in feeling a little bit miffed that this will not round out your units, but make them into odd unit sizes, right? Because you've got one Sister of Slaughter. I already own 10, so now I've got 11.
Well, if you're using them for Underworlds, then I don't think that's really too much of an issue, is it? There's only 5 of them.
Well, I want to use them for both. So, yeah, I do like them, though.
It's got all the elements that it seems like a Remington warband should have. It's got the big hair, it's got whips, it's got a chalice, it's got snakes. All the cool stuff, really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it has. It's got the whips. It's got someone leaping through the air with not many clothes on. Perfect. Yeah, these are a definite buy. The orcs are like pants, man.
Let's have a look at
They're
the
really rough.
now dubbed
I'm
the
a fan of
Pant
orcs.
Orcs. Yeah,
They're garbage, man. They just look like the normal ones you get in the big box of
yeah, they're not
Black Orcs.
not very exciting at all. Are they? Even the poses, they're not really screaming action too much. I mean, a couple of them have got one foot barely off the ground. It's not quite the dynamism of the Witch elves down here.
Void Captain Bazooka said he doesn't like the golden masked elf.
Oh, this one here.
She probably doesn't like you either. You thought about that?
That sounds fair to me. Okay, that's enough of that. How about this? The Crud Creek Nose Pickers. This is what you've really been waiting for, isn't it? Blood Bowl Snotlings, including the Pump Wagon. How do you feel about this?
Do you get 2 Pump Wagons in this box set?
I'm pretty sure you only get 1, but let's see. I don't see any pictures of 2 Pump Wagons. No, it looks like just 1. So I think that's the entire contents of the box there. So you've got a Pump Wagon. You've got these things that look like rocks with eyeballs, which are like, what are they, squigs encased in rock? Something like that? Who knows?
Well, they're spores. Snotlings have these spores that they throw at people, and it makes people sneeze and itch. But yeah, they look like they're going to be really terrible, which means it's a buy for me.
Sounds about right. So let's get a close-up of the Pump Wagon here. In fact, look at that rock. So to me, it looks very much like something from Trapdoor. Are you familiar with that?
Trapdoor?
It was a children's, very short animated series with plasticine, stop motion. The eyes.
It rhymes with spore.
That is true. It kind of does. So we've got a Snotling on stilts there. Very exciting. And the Pump Wagon, which...
I love the Snotling on stilts. He's great, man.
What do you think of the Pump Wagon compared to previous Pump Wagon incarnations?
I love it. I love the barrel wheel at the front. I love the Snotling with the frying pan. I mean, that's probably going to give a headache to another Snotling, but that's not really going to do anything to anything larger, is it? But they'll,
Well, you wouldn't want to get run over by it.
It's just brilliant. No, you wouldn't. It doesn't have spiky rollers, though. Does it? They're not spiky at the front, are they?
It looks like they've just stuck nails into it so that the spikes are inwards. Probably for extra grip.
I like a Pump Wagon that's got, some flags on it or some wings, just to give it extra boinginess in the air. So if I get this, I might add some flappy wings to it.
Could do with a bit of extra boinginess. And trolls. So you can use trolls with your Snotlings to launch your players through the air.
Now, these have already been released, haven't they, these ones?
I believe so. But they are compatible with the Snotlings. So, that's enough Snotling chat. Let's move on.
Are you not interested then, Andy?
Well, I was thinking about jumping on Blood Bowl at some point, but I'm definitely going to wait for the new edition now that it's been announced. So we'll see what happens with that first before leaping in face first into yet another game system. Next.
Okay.
Now this is relevant to your interests because of your impending arrival into the world of Necromunda and possibly with the Escher gang. So there's some new juicy stuff here. First of all, a bit of artwork there. And then there's some new miniatures. Pretty sure they're new anyway.
Oh, new miniatures.
That's not new. Some of these might be new.
Oh, is there more Clan Etchen figures coming out?
Seems like there are more Escher things coming out here.
Wow, what's a Death Maiden?
Death Maiden. It doesn't really tell you what a Death Maiden is, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. I think they've released they've got the book, the Escher now. But look at these, I'm sure these are new. Like little lizard dogs that they've got with them now. Or I assume they're called felling. Lizard mutt, they'll be known as. One with a bow.
I think my ex-girlfriend was a Death Maiden.
Good to know. So there, what do you think of that gang? Some of these are already existing models. I'm pretty sure this leader is already in the set.
I like it. So how does this work then? Would this be like one squad, or do these?
That would
like
be your
boost
entire. That would be your entire force you put down on the table there.
Okay.
With lizard.
Yeah, that
mutts.
sounds good. So I couldn't put these down and the normal game.
Maybe not all together at the same time.
So how does it work then? You got some points then, right? You got points and
yes, and you'll be buying your various upgrades for your fighters as well.
What, like better weapons, armor, bombs, that sort of thing? That'll cost money, does it?
Yes, and then the way you're supposed to play it is in kind of a campaign system, so you would earn money as you go through and upgrade all your people, and then some of them will get killed, obviously, so they need replacing. Some of them will lose limbs.
What, so do you have to chop the figures up then?
I'm pretty sure you don't
lose
have to do
a leg.
that. I don't think many people would take it to that extreme. I remember in the Gorka Morka days, when one of my orcs lost a leg, and I'm pretty sure there was a way you could fit wheels onto the model on its legs. But I think it was a better idea just to have a stand-in model who had wheels for legs. So whenever one of them lost a leg, you could just put that guy in instead. Well, that's enough of that. Rattling through Rumour Engine, which is obviously the segment ripped off blatantly from What the Hell Is That? But this looks like a rather bony, spindly hand with claws, clutching a skull with smoke or flames maybe coming out of its nose hole. What do you reckon that's for?
That's definitely Nighthorn. That's Nighthorn, in my opinion. Having just painted and sold a Nighthorn army, that's my bet. It looks like it's got the makings of a snazzy miniature, right?
It's got the makings of a snazzy miniature's hand.
Someone said in the chat, Andy, your beard is at a good length now. When are you going to dye it orange and take the Slayer oath?
Eventually. I mean, yeah, it's getting quite decent length on it here. I haven't started plaiting it yet, like a real dwarf.
That was Fluffy Dread said that.
Well, someone with Fluffy in their name surely will know all about kind of facial hair shenanigans. What's going on with yours, though? Yours isn't looking very magnificent at the moment.
What? Oh, I trimmed my beard. I trimmed it, yeah. I actually had a haircut last Thursday. You wouldn't know it, would you? Yeah.
And you paid for this haircut, correct?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Did they actually do anything?
It was thinning out. I think they thinned it out, but it feels really thick to me.
Are you sure they didn't just put a blindfold on you, made some snippy noises, and then just told you they'd given you a haircut?
I don't know, but it's really annoying now. I might just cut it really short. But some days I like it.
That'd be a controversial move.
What about you? You used to shave your head, didn't you, and then grow it long?
Well, I'm sure I will do when it gets annoying again. As soon as it annoys me one day, it's just going to be...
Really? That's that?
That's usually how it works.
You won't be upset, or...
Unless I can be convinced somehow to do something else with it. But usually that's how it is. Just let it grow, let it grow. One day it's annoying, then off it goes. Everyone, of course, is saying that... Everyone is saying that our hair is very luxurious. which is a trademark of this show, luxurious hair, isn't it? I think if you look at other prominent wargaming live shows out there, none of them can boast a combined hair might that we have on this show. And I'm not doing that with mine because I don't want to mess it up right now. Annie thinks that I should get a man bun.
Yeah, but give that a shot, man. Once you start that, you can't stop because it's nice. Look, I'll show you. Gets it out of the way, so you look like a dark elf, which is no bad thing.
Some hair tips here from Remington.
There you go. So 1, 2, 3. There you go. Much better. I can see you now.
We'll see about that. Okay.
Go on. Someone pays Andy some money to tie his hair back. And then he'll do it then, guarantee you.
Well, yes. So, okay, how about this? If we get, let's see, how much money should I demand in order to have my hair back for next week's episode? Let's see.
I like your hair long. I think you should just wear it in different styles now.
Well, maybe that's how I'll make all my money now. By getting the audience to pick hairstyles based on how much money they give. So, let's see. If we raise £15 tonight, then I will tie my hair back next week.
Yeah, properly though. You'll get Annie to do it.
Maybe.
Yeah? Or she'll plait it for you. How about that? That would be good. Cornrows.
I think plaiting would take more money than that. We might build up to plaiting in the future if this one goes well. So let's see how it goes.
That's £50 if you do cornrows.
Should we talk about Dogs of War now?
Right. Yes, let's talk about the dogs.
So, Dogs of War. Obviously, in the late 90s, the Dogs of War burst onto the scene, regiments of renown, as it were. Now, in the old days that Mr. Remington will remember, there used to be named individual regiments that came in boxes, and Dogs of War kind of leaning back to that era. Just an army made up of regiments, entirely of those regiments that have their special names and backstory behind them that make them more interesting, more spicy, more juicy, more succulent, and exciting than just your regular troops. So back in the day, I'm sure you had, like, Billy Bob's skeleton horseman of the apocalypse or something, didn't you?
But I've got the full list of official Dogs of War in front of me.
That is some
and I can
preparation
tell you
there.
that I had Ruglud's Armoured Orcs, which I put on round bases and then sold on eBay like an idiot for like not much money. But there you go. And I also had Gotrek and Felix, who are officially classed as good Dogs of War. I also had... In fact, that's it. Out of the official ones. No, I had the Halflings, Lumping Croops. Lumping Croops Fighting Cocks, they're the Halflings. And I also had Long Drong's Pirate Slayers.
I definitely had some of Long Drong's Slayer Pirates as well.
Now, which of the ones did you really want but could never get?
Well, just looking at this picture here, these various units in this army that I found on Google Images, I always liked the Giants of Albion, the two at the back there.
Yeah.
But never had those. They were always very juicy, with the little Hengus the Druid with them as well.
Yeah, I think you look like Hengus the Druid.
I'm getting there. I always liked the Birdmen as well, but I never had any of those. But they look cool.
Yeah, they were the weird models there because they're really detailed under the wings, but no one sees that. All you see is the top.
That is a good point, actually. So I'd be interested to see if anyone did any reposing of those models so that you could actually see more of them. And
now, I would like... Actually, That reminds me of one of the dogs of war that I would like to invent or adapt from the old ones. But we'll get to that in a minute. Oh, of course, the halfling hot pot.
I suppose you could
Is
down
that
as a
okay? What about some of the human ones?
There were
Let me
some
reel off
human
some
ones.
names.
There's this one.
There were lots of human ones.
There were 2 different pikeman units. These were Perazzo's something or other. Was it Perazzo's Lost Legion, something like that?
Perazzo's Lost Legion.
There
Not
was.
Pirazzo's.
There were some
Perazzo.
other. There were plenty of other human units as well.
There was Rico's Republican Guard. There was the Alicante Fellowship. They were the 3 human ones, but there was also Vespero's Vendetta, who were like these swordsman assassins. There was
I might have them at the
Volan's
end.
Venators.
Oh, there's the Venators there, isn't it?
Yeah, they're basically Empire Knights. Yeah, big V for victory. Yeah, I like the sound and the look of Leopold's Leopard Company because I have a penchant for leopard skin.
Don't think I've got a picture of those.
They wore leopard skin.
Another one I remembered, there's the Galloper gun. Was it Bronzino, the guy's name?
Yes, Bronzino, Galloper guns, and there was also Braganza's Besiegers. So all these are based on Renaissance, probably Italian mercenaries.
You can see some Giants of Albion here. Very nice.
There was also some guys. I think that was the Braganza's Besiegers. They were the crossbowmen that had the massive shields. There was also, this one's fascinating, Bjorg Bearstruck and the Bearmen of Urslo.
Yes, I don't think I had those. I think my brother had those.
Your brother? You've got a brother?
2.
You've never mentioned you've got a brother. Well, are they the 2 giants?
No. They're shorter than me.
Oh.
They're not into this kind of stuff nowadays. So they're not worthy of mentioning for that reason.
Well, my favourite one was Al Mukhtar's Desert Dogs because they were Arabic, and Arabic folklore's cool, and they look great.
There's the mercenary ogres that you mentioned before. Very characterful faces there.
These are the worst ogres GW ever produced, so I never wanted those.
And what's your reason for that?
They're just terrible skulls.
You just don't like them. I like the faces.
No.
But their poses are a little bit the same all over. There's not much variety, really.
They're terrible, and they don't fit in with the other. I mean, they're nothing like the Marauder ogre sculpts, basically. Yes, we had the Marksmen of Miragliano, so they were just Tylian crossbowmen. Or do you say Tillian? I like Tylian.
I would have said Tillian, but I don't think I've heard anyone say it out loud before.
Right. Then there's a Dark Elf one, which I used to have these as well. Mengel Manhide's Manflayers.
That sounds like the name of a band you should be in.
Yeah, there was a couple of different versions of those. And there were some hobgoblins, don't you know? Ogla Khan's Wolf Boys.
Pretty sure you were in that band as well.
There was also the Truthsayer of Albion. I don't quite remember that one. There was Tichihuchi's Raiders, which were they skinks or lizard men on cold ones? And probably the most wanted one out of all of them was probably the Cursed Company. Maybe they're the most collectible, I'd say. Well, they were at one point. Do you know what the Cursed Company were?
I can't even remember now, but I'm sure we've talked about them before.
Does that mean you don't want me to talk about them?
It means you may talk about them.
Okay, thank you. Well, the Cursed Company is a regiment which has undead orcs, undead ratmen, undead elves, and undead human, and undead dwarf in its ranks.
I do remember us talking about this, actually. I don't remember if I've seen them lately.
Yeah, they're it's hard to get a full regiment of those. You could probably pick up individual ones and try and piece a regiment together.
What do you think
But
about?
yeah, I think I've mentioned.
What do you think about the Dragonlord?
Well, yes, that Dragonlord is called Arsenil the Dragonlord, apparently.
It's got the classic Warhammer dragon wings, but the arms and the body and the head, just the rest of it, are maybe a tiny bit chunkier than all the other dragons of that period, which were more spindly, which is what makes it stand out to me. It's just a bit more of a chunky dragon.
Very 1990s sculpt, I think. Look, I could be wrong.
I do like the old style of dragons, though.
There's one more I haven't mentioned, I think, and I think I should.
And which one is that?
That is, no, it's not. I've said them all. I think I've said nearly all of them. There's one here on the list. It says the Fen Beast. So that's an Albion monster, I think. But yeah, Al Mukhtar's Desert Dogs was my favourite. Oh, there was the guy. There was the guy that had the all that gold.
Midas the Mean.
Yes, Midas the Mean. He's not on that list. And also Malachi Mackison's Goblin Hewer. That's a dwarf axe throwing machine. It's very collectible now. Never seen it being used though.
No, I haven't. I might have seen one of them being used as an organ gun at one point, actually. Goblin Hewer. Stu says dragon with human-like hands. Weird. Batzuka says very Trogdor. Yes, there is quite Trogdor-like, a dragon with just a human arm sticking out of it. Mickey says Fen Beast was Albion campaign, not Dogs of War.
Oh, wow, Mickey. Mickey with the nods there.
But then Fluffy Dread says that it is actually considered a Dog of War as well. So there you go, we've got some conflict in the comments now. This is the kind of spicy drama that boosts ratings.
There was also notable mercenaries, Andy, as well. We've mentioned Midas the Mean, but there was also Lorenzo Lupo, who was the heir apparent to the city of Lucini, and is a descendant of one of the city's founders. Oh, great. There's also Marco Colombo, which is a play off, Christopher Columbus. A couple of sculpts of him. One of them was for Games Day, I believe, something like 2011. Could be wrong about that, but yeah, Games Day model's really cool. Borgio the Besieger, Leonardo de Miragliano. So there you go. So, Andy, if we were to recreate the regiments of renown for Age of Sigmar, what do you have in mind?
Yeah, if we were building new regiments, either for Age of Sigmar or Warhammer the Old World, which would be a great thing for Forge World to get into, making one-off fancy regiments, I've photoshopped up a few of my own, and we're going to have the audience help pick out some names for them, some of these regiments that I've come up with. So, Regiments of Renown. Let's bring up this slideshow here, ones I've prepared. So, here's the first one. Now, as you can see, it is clearly a dwarven catapult launching a slayer into battle, and I always thought that would be amazing. A slayer that just soars through the air. They're seeking an honourable death in battle, aren't they? A heroic death. So how more heroic can you get than flying through the air, landing on an enemy beast, and just hacking it to bits with your axe, possibly being killed in flight? Or the landing are probably killing
I love it.
More so than the flight.
But I love it.
Let's have a name for this Regiment of Renown here. But you can just visualize it, can't you? Even the rules for it, because if you think about the goblin, what's it called now? I've forgotten the name of it. The thing that fires the Doom Diver, there you go. The Goblin Doom Diver, that's pretty much a suicide mission. However, a Slayer is a bit more tough and sturdy than a Goblin. So I think one of those sailing through the air would actually be able to do some damage when it lands. If it lands in a unit, it would then do a certain number of wounds, and then just appear next to the unit, and could then just run around and fight as a Slayer the next turn. I think that would be a really good unit.
That'd be great, man. I mean, you could also have him getting fired out of a cannon, right?
That's also an option. He doesn't mind scorching his feet a bit.
No, or you could have 6 Slayers being in an organ gun, in a giant organ gun, right? So you can have 6 being fired off at the same time.
Might be heading towards overkill territory here, but there's potential in it. Brad says Oath.
The whole squadron.
Oath Thrower, which I think is actually a very good name for it, but it would need to have a dwarf's name to go with it. Ben says the Grudge Flinger, which is another nice one as well.
Oh, I love
those
that.
two. But it would need a name. Somebody, like there's a dwarf engineer who's built this and then pitched the idea to the Slayer cults. I will launch you into combat with my perfectly safe catapult that will make sure you actually reach the target and don't just splat into a cliff, because that's not a very honourable death. So we'll get you, make sure you make it to the enemy before you possibly get killed. This engineer who then recruits all these Slayers into battle, and they just line up and he just hammer down, sends them through the air. So we need a name for the engineer. Anyone got one? Slough Witch says Beard Flinger. Yeah, we've got some pretty good names for it, but the dwarf needs a name.
Mickey Genver says, somebody sent me a dwarf tossing video once. Regret watching it at work. So
on that note.
That's fantastic.
So, and Sean, I don't think it's going to be called Bob. Now, here's the next unit. This is a goblin cult. They're obsessed with Nagash. The old Nagash, obviously. So they all wear masks of Nagash. Goblins, obsessed with undeath. And the Lord of Undeath himself, Nagash. So let's have a name for this unit now. Yes, Mickey, it is kind of a cult of Nagash, but it needs a fancy name.
Nagash's Gits.
Sean says Bone Gobbos, Raphael Nagashlings. I actually think this picture file is called Nagashlings, by the way. And
Death Gits Guard.
On the previous picture, Stu says Dori Drekar's Slayer Doombringer. Not bad, but I'm not sure it really captures the essence of hurtling through the air. William says Big Hats. Batzuka says Gobnash. But I think you'll agree my photoshopping skills are second to none here. And I mean that second to nobody, not second to an actual nun. I'm sure there are no nuns in the world with Photoshop skills better than me.
I think that's superb. I really like that.
Would you buy this regiment?
No.
Disappointing.
I like it though. I like that a lot.
And what about this one? This is slightly less silly. This is an ogre mercenary regiment, but you'll notice on their banner it's actually a dragon skull, because they developed a taste when they were wandering the mountains. They ate a dragon, and they got such a taste for it that they can't tolerate any lesser morsels now. Only this fine, supreme food of dragon flesh is the only thing they can stomach. So they're constantly in search of dragons to eat. So that's their entire gimmick. But need a name for them.
Dragon ogres?
I think that name's taken, sadly.
I think they could wear more dragon stuff, like dragon hide and wearing a dragon tail and teeth and stuff.
Brad says, so they tend to die of hunger. Well, this particular regiment of renown probably weren't around very long if they can only live on dragon flesh. Ben says, Hog Rash's scale chefs. And on the Nagash regiment, Fluffy Dread says, this is quite a long one, Knit Bricks Nagasha Gobber Git Stabbers. Good as any. Raphael says, the real Dragon Ogres. Not bad.
Yeah.
So it would have to be the name of an ogre, and then it's like his, and then the name of the regiment. Like, what's another name for a dragon? His name could be like Dave Frosty Nuts Drake Feasters.
Drake, yeah, the Drake Feasters. Yeah, I like that. Drake Hoarders.
Or
Drake Bellies.
Batzuka suggests worm, so maybe somebody's worm swallowers. I think these are pretty good.
The Drake Butchers.
Fluffy Dread says I need to go knocking on Forge World's door tomorrow and demand a check.
I think
there's some money in this, and if they put me in the Forge World Ideas Lounge, they just get me a hammock in there and a whiteboard. I think pretty much infinite cash could be generated for GW, and I think every moment they don't hire me for this role, they're essentially leaving money on the table. So
that just sounds like Remington Industries.
Have you been? It's kind of like Remington Industries, except the ideas are good. I'm thinking of calling it like Andy Enterprises.
Oh man, these new pesky startup companies.
Yeah, I'm going to start with
a behemoth.
I'm going to start with the Andy roller.
What's that? To roll your hair into curls?
It's a paint roller, but it's going to have a unique twist on it to make it different from the Remington roller. You see, it's like just a regular roller, except in the middle, there's another part of it that rolls backwards. So that when you're painting with it, any area that's kind of against the grain, leave no area of the miniature untouched.
I can't believe that. I don't think people will buy that, Andy. The Remington Industry name has been, fondly sewn into the hearts of the public, and no upstart 2-penny snake oil salesman like yourself is ever going to compete with the likes of Remington Industries. No
Let's
chance
see about that. Time will tell. So, if you want to give your ideas a bit of a whirl, would you like to pitch any Dogs of War regiments to the people?
Me? Yeah, I wanted to do a Snotling Regiment of Renown, but it's a Snotling attack wagon, and basically over the generations, the Snotlings in the wagon, die horribly, get crushed, die of exhaustion, or just become ogre meat. But the actual Snot wagon itself was the first ever Snotling wagon ever made, and it still survives. So it's like the vintage Snotling pump wagon that all the Snotlings like. It's like the Aston Martin of pump wagons. And I can't think of a name for it, but that's what the model would be. The regiment would be this pump wagon, which would be, it'd be a great honour to be part of the crew.
Well, you've given me a great idea for a regiment now. As far as I know, the only Nurgle regiment of renown, the Snot Wagon. There's a grotesque demon on the back of a wagon, and it's so horrible and deformed and decayed that all it can do is basically ooze into a barrel. And there's an unfortunate little driver of the wagon who has a hose attached to the barrel and just sprays the enemy with it.
There you are. Well, that's that one.
Maybe it's a demon that they've captured and they have it in a cage even, so it doesn't even have to be evil. There you go. These are just perfectly innocent, like, goodies. But they've captured this evil demon, so that's why it's on the same side as the rest of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, let's go with the Snotling pump wagon, Aston Martin. You know, that'd be great. The Vantage wagon. Sounds vintage.
So, you had all these weeks to come up with a Dogs of War regiment, and what you've come up with is a Snotling pump wagon.
I've got one more. It's the Birdmen of Katratza 2.0. So, this gang of birdmen have, like, flown into the Chaos Wastes, right? They've flown so far that the Chaos winds have deformed them and melded their wings onto their bodies. So now they've got actual real wings, and they're sort of a bit chaosy. So how about that? Birdmen of Katratza, but they're sort of chaos now.
Sort of chaos now. That would be a good slogan for the box art, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So they're like marauders now with wings on and crossbows.
Well, folks, if you want to get a good bargain, I hear Remington Industries is on the market for a record low price right now.
I like that. Let's see what the audience think. Okay. Oh, good timing to join. Oh, Vicky Genva says the Rustin Martin for the Snotling Pump Wagon Dogs of War unit. I love it. The Snotling Martin, the Rustin Martin. Runt Squeak Clan Snotling War Wagon.
Not bad.
Yeah, I think people like the ideas. They love the ideas, Andy. They love them. No, I don't think many people mentioned your ideas there, so I think it's another win for Remington Industries there.
Yeah. So, folks...
You did have nice pictures. Nice pictures.
I did. Folks, give us your Dogs of War regiment ideas now, and we'll rate them right now. And there were a couple that came in on the old Discord server, which you should be joining, by the way. So, let's see. Here's one that came in from Drunken Deer, and this regiment of renown is called the Colour Guard. It doesn't have anyone's name, any like leader of the unit's name to go with it, but they wear only the biggest plumage, the brightest armour, most vivid colours possible, and they fight more so for fashion than fortune. Like, they just want to go out and look incredible and dazzle the opposition with their fashion sense rather than their combat prowess, it seems. How do you feel about that one? I'm obviously a fan of vibrant colours.
I like it. Should we roll the dice? Let's roll the dice, see what score gives them on the Yahtzee roll. You ready? That gets an 8.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Then we've got one from Gorehammer, who says, holds Fala's axes. And this is deep in the Drakwold forest, a militia born from generations of terror at the hands of the foul beast men. So comprised of woodcutters banding together to repel the threat, now a fearsome regiment, savage band of woodcutters essentially.
Savage band of woodcutters.
To combat the Beastman menace, and now they offer their services a coin throughout the Empire.
Do they wear armor? Do they wear fur? Do they dress up as beasts? What's the?
If I were them, I would
to
wear the Beastmen skin that they harvested from their victims to make them a bit more intimidating. Like, hey, look what we did to the Beastmen. We could do this to your enemies if you give us gold.
What's the motivation behind them doing this? Maybe their whole villages have been slaughtered by Beastmen attacks and raids.
Yeah, after they got sick of fighting off the Beastmen because it was just an endless tide, an endless herd of them in the forest, maybe they gave up their lumberjacking ways and decided, you know what, let's just go and fight for a living. We can do that, but there's nothing left for us here in these woods. You can't do any lumberjacking because it's just endless Beastmen.
I like it. So they get bonus damage against Beastmen. Like maybe if they roll a 6 to wound, they just behead you with one blow.
Sounds like the Forest of Rem here.
Something like that.
Although that usually happens on a 1 as well.
Well, talking of runs, let's roll the dice with that. I rather like that. There we go. Yes, and the dice gods agree. That's a 10.
Very nice. Okay, we've got some in the chat now as well. So, William says, Remington's Forest Band of Flesh Puppets. It's obviously a bit of a Forest of Rem theme there as well.
That's incredible.
So would this just be people that have a kind of nurgly or some other kind of grotesque haunted attachment on the end of their hand that they wield at the enemy ferociously?
There could be different ones. There could be one with a little bow and arrow. There could be one that just flies. There could be one that bites. There could be like a kung fu flesh puppet. It could be in different poses.
Yeah, there'd be a bit like nurglings, I think, except perched on the end of people's arms. Potential there, definitely. A group of grotesque puppeteers.
Let's go with a roll. That's an 8.
Again, pretty good one. You're warming up these dice for the Forest of Rem. By the way, tonight the Forest of Rem is going to have 2d6 in it instead of 1. Just as an experiment, so we'll see how that goes. Let's see, Void Captain Bazooka says, the men of muck, they supply the best muck to muck-deprived villages. They then steal your pigs in the night. So, they've got pigs, they use the pigs to create more muck, which they then sell to people as a profit. But I don't see how this factors into going into battle. Do they ride the pigs to war as well, and then turn the enemies into muck?
The pig herders?
It's not bad, but I'd like to hear more about how it translates to them on the battlefield.
That's a 9. The dice love that, the pig herders.
Well, we can't argue with that. Fun. Can't argue with this app that you have on your phone.
They could upgrade the pigs to boars, or even those beastmen boars, what they're called, with the spikes on them. Razor gores. Right?
Potentially.
That's what the dice said.
You could herd those.
We've got one more. My back's hurting now, so come on.
Okay, so I'll let you jump on the next one.
Tinker Boblin's Knick-Knack Brigade. This is Ben. Thank you, Ben. That's a great title. A mad scientist halfling combines his collection of teethits and homunculi, always ready for a picnic or a row.
I think that means a row.
Was that rap? Or a row.
Unless there's some kind of boating theme, the unit that I missed. But yeah,
or a row.
Lots of tiny little annoying creatures, it seems like.
Rather like the halfling beekeepers, isn't it, really? That was always a... Well, let's roll the dice. I quite like that one. The dice did not like that. And no, in fact, they gave you a 6, my friend Ben.
Oh, that's the worst one so far.
It's half an idea there.
Okay, so with that, that's enough Dogs of War units, but we will possibly come back to this segment at some point in the future because I think you'll agree Very exciting. And now, if that isn't enough audience interaction for you, how about everyone's favourite segment, which is going to come up any moment. Here it comes. I just need to find the right thing on this list here. Here we go.
What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it a chaos dwarf or a vampire bear? Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Only Andy and Remington, Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it Sigmar's beard or Neferata's hat? Oh, what the hell is that? Oh, what the hell is that? Is it a mangled squig or a sorcerer's rat? Only Andy and Remington, Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know.
Okay, everyone, there you go. What the hell is that? Which I think you'll agree that's quite an impressive photoshopped image there. It's almost seamless. You might think that that is actually part model, as it is just right there. Beautiful Photoshop skills that I do possess. And it contains 3 miniatures. This is a Dogs of War episode, so I can give you a clue that there's a little bit of a dog theme here to these miniatures. I can tell you that 2 of them are currently available on the Games Workshop website, and 1 of them is not. So, Fluffy Dread says, is it possible to buy this tune? Well, if you support this channel on Patreon, then you can see the level required to get high quality versions of all the music used in this show, as well as other upcoming digital bonuses. So, there's a very good reason to head on over to Patreon. Link is in the description.
I made that song up.
Well done.
And I recorded it. Thank you.
So we've got some guesses. Let's see. Roshi says Orion. There is no Orion there, but I can see where you're going with that, with the kind of horn theme there. Owen says Lumpenkroop's Hornblower. It is not.
Is that a Marauder? That's a Marauder horn, isn't it? I'm sure I painted that before.
It is not. But that's not that far away, actually, from the correct answer. I think someone is going to get these. I can tell you now that one of them is a Dogs of War unit, and 2 of them are just plain dogs. Let's see.
Rafa March says Bjorg Berman's horn.
It is actually Bjorg, Bearstruck, and the Bearman, the hornblower in that unit. There you go, that's what that one is. So, what about the other 2 bits dangling themselves off of it? What are they from? So, we've got the Dogs of War unit. The other 2 pieces are from dogs.
Isn't that an Arachnorax incisor?
No, it's not, because that ain't no dog.
But it must be a tail then.
Come on, folks. Somebody's got to get these. There's only that many dogs out there in the world of Warhammer. Fluffy Dread. Is it the thing in the woods from Mordheim? Nope. Raphael says Fleshhound. Yes, it is a Fleshhound. That spiky bit there is from a Fleshhound. So we just need the piece on the left now. What could it be? Mickey says Griffhound. Yep, there you go. Let's bring up the solution. And boom, there you go. Griffhound, Fleshhound, and Bjorg Bearstruck and the Bearman of Urslu. Specifically, the musician. So, well done, folks. You got that. And now, it's time for everyone's number 1 favourite segment. And I don't think the theme song's going to have too much instrumentation with it this week, since Mr. Remington doesn't have all his equipment there yet. But prepare yourselves for this. Shall I just do the song then?
Oh, I'd love it if you did the song.
Okay, here we go. Let's get a little drink first. here we go. In the forest of Rem, in the forest of Rem, a goblin named Sven in the forest of Rem. Is it a chicken or is it a hen? Snotlings become men in the forest of Rem.
Andy is the DM.
It's true. And yes, Rem is falling asleep, which would be the second time it's happened on this show if he does actually fully enter the land of Nod. And
who?
You've fallen asleep on this show before.
I've got backaches. I'm just stretching my back.
That's always how it starts, isn't it? And then the snoring. So, a little bit of a shout out first of all. So, you see all these beautiful images and artwork that have appeared on this show lately. If you follow the link in the description, you can go and check out and like the Facebook page of Radbat Designs, which is the crack team of elite designers that have been working on all the graphics for this show. So you can show your appreciation there by clicking that link in the description. It's somewhere in the middle among all the other links. You'll be able to find it. So that includes the Forest of Rem logo, by the way, which is available on merch now in the Redbubble store as well. Last time on the Forest of Rem, Remington found himself in the presence of a rather grotesque being, but he was able to defeat it and cause it to explode, and he then squeezed himself out of its chamber, if you recall. And I believe that's where we left off, with Remington heading out into a void. So, as the light levels adjust, Mr. Remington discovers this young travelling minstrel / bard is in a room. Dimly lit, obviously. Circular room, surrounded by doors, wooden doors with wooden handles, each one with a bloody handprint upon it. How did he get here? He doesn't know, but he's in a strange magical realm after previously visiting his past self for a family dinner, managing to pass on some financial advice to his father, which then seemed to save his little cousin, Timothy Remington, but possibly did something terrible to his previous self, who maybe no longer exists. Remington, you're in this room full of doors with bloody handprints. How will you proceed?
I'm going to put my own hand against the prints and see if my hand matches any of them.
Interesting. So, as Mr. Remington makes his way round the room, testing out his hands on the bloody handprints, the first few clearly do not match, they are the wrong size, but eventually he reaches one that seems to fit perfectly into his own handprint. What will you do with this information?
Well, I was hoping that might open a door or like, you know, set off a trap or...
Well, it's not doing anything right now. The doors do have handles.
Okay, well, I will open that door then.
Okay, as Remington attempts to open the door using the handle, a small electric shock jolts him, forcing him to stagger back into the centre of the room.
I know what to do. I'll get my flesh puppet out. I'll get my flesh puppet and get that to open the door. So the flesh puppet will get electrocuted, not me. I'm going to try all the door handles with the flesh puppet instead.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to roll the dice here. Now, this is a controversial move on the Forest of Rim. Previously, it's been 1d6. This time, it's 2d6. And of course, with the result distribution of 2 dice, then it's slightly different from just a single dice. So I'm going to be demanding higher numbers here for really good results.
Well, it is Andy 2d6 channel, isn't it? So why not? Here we go. Remington. Oh man, how about that? That's a double 6 if you can't see.
Well, a 12. Very impressive. So, Remington uses the flesh puppet to grapple with the door handles, and eventually one of them does open. The flesh puppet, clearly all these electric shocks are having very little impact on it because it continues to snooze on the end of Remington's arm. The door swings open, revealing a long corridor. However, before Mr. Remington makes his way down it, a flash of light behind him reveals another Remington. Dun dun dun. But this Remington does not have the same mutations as our own Remington. It doesn't have the tail or the hooves. This one, all he has is a very long wooden nose. How will you approach this situation?
Maybe this is Andy Industries product trying to replicate a Remington. That's what I think it is. Such an accursed creation has to be destroyed, I'm afraid, because there's only the original and still the best Remington on the market. That's me. So I'm going to dismantle this aberration.
Okay.
I'm going to smash it to bits.
What are you going to attack this other Remington with?
I've still got a sack, or shall I kill it with fire?
Well, you have your dagger, you have your jewel encrusted mandolin, you have a sack which seems to produce new items whenever you reach into it.
Right, okay, well let's reach into the sack. Maybe a hammer will appear.
Okay, roll the dice then. You're wishing for a hammer.
Let's go. It's an 8.
That's not bad actually. So rather than a hammer, you get a long wooden stick that's very sturdy.
All right. Well, I'm going to baseball bat that thing.
Okay.
And shout Remington as I'm doing it.
You sprint towards your fellow Remington, who seems horrified at your choice to assault him. He recoils, swinging his wooden nose, attempting to deflect the blows of your stick. Roll the dice for the attack.
Remington. It's a 10. Devastating.
It's a 10. The nose is not mightier than the staff, and you impale the other Remington straight through the chest with the wooden stick and pull him towards you. And have you got any cool one-liners for him?
There can be only one.
As the other Remington is pushed back off the stick, collapses to the floor in a bloody heap, and then begins to sparkle. And the energy makes its way through the air towards our own Remington, entering through his pores into his body. Feels himself becoming somewhat stronger. The body of the other Remington disappeared, and all that remains is the long wooden nose and his loincloth.
Well, I should take those as souvenirs for sure and put them in my bag.
Very well. Do you wish to remain here, or do you wish to leave through the door you previously opened?
Well, do I get to level up now? Because I've just defeated myself.
Well, you'll find out if you get into another fight. You'll see if you've gained any more power.
Right, what do I have to do?
You can either stay in here, find something to do, or you could just leave through the door you opened before.
I think I'm just going to stay in there for a bit.
Very well.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in the room, and perhaps the creator of this robot, if you will come back, and I can assault him or confront him or her.
As Remington sits in the centre of the room on the floor, the room starts to vibrate. Then there are 4 flashes of light 4 figures appear around him. He looks to the first one. Remington, the second one. Remington, the third one. Remington, the fourth one. Remington, 4 Remingtons. And that's where we're going to leave it for this week. Because the actual Remington has to go. But 4 Remingtons surrounding our own Remington. How will he possibly defeat this tide, if he even wants to? Maybe he's going to try talking to them instead, rather than instantly impaling them. We'll find out next week on The Forest of Rel. The plot thickens.
That's fantastic. Who else could turn an army of 1 into 4 with 1 blow of my stick? Fantastic. We've proper got a group now. A band. The start of Remington band there. As long as they're friendly.
Well, we'll find out next week, won't we? So, folks, that's pretty much the end of the show. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description. And I hope you've been following all the orders from the scrolling text there. Because otherwise, it's serving no purpose. But it should have caught your eye and encouraged you to check out such things as the Facebook group, Discord server, Twitter, the Redbubble merch shop, and all the other juicy stuff down there. And also, if you go right to the bottom as well, then there's a special code for placing orders with Bad Squiddo Games, which is there indefinitely. You're getting free chicken for order. And Mr. Remington, would you like to say any words of farewell to the audience before we start wrapping this one up?
Yeah, I really enjoyed tonight. It's a bit surreal, really. I don't know why. I think we're going to be coming out of the lockdown soon. That's what I predict. Things will start to get back to normal.
Remington's prediction,
Well,
you've heard it here first.
Yeah.
You'll see.
So thank you.
So that's a good night from the horizontal Remington. And I'm just going to bring up the episode thumbnail here so you can see my beautiful Photoshop work, as I personally thank some of our lovely patrons of this channel who have pledged to a sufficient level to be mentioned by name at the end of each episode. So, thanks to all the patrons, obviously, but an extra special thanks to the following people: Graham, Steve, Kim, Eric, Barbara, Brad, and Guy. All of you, extra special. And with that, after I once again tell you to check out all the links down below and to give me all your money, because I want it, all that remains to be said now is good night out there. Whatever you are. Don't forget to attend Andy Palooza when lockdown is over, because RimCon is indefinitely postponed.
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy